Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Authors Up. I always like to start off by saying it is our favorite place to be on Sunday evenings
And
at
it
6
is.
p.m. And I am so glad that you decided to join us today. We've got a great show planned for you tonight. It's going to have some surprises, and that's because we are going to have some conversation. And when we start talking, let me tell you, sometimes we travel a river.
Victoria, what are you doing?
Fixing my shirt.
You do know it's on backwards, though, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay. Just,
As
I
long
said,
as
I was sitting there going, we never show the backside. So I said, I switched it around.
as I was saying, when we get together, we sometimes travel a river. And that is an example of how that flows. Sometimes we start in one direction and sometimes it's
Okay, there you go.
somewhere else. But Miss Victoria is having her own queenly party over there, and
Yes.
we're
And I'm
just
also having an
follow her along.
eternal summer.
Oh,
see, I've learned to fix that. Get one of these. Okay.
oh, a
It
little
is.
Yes.
bit.
It
Yes.
is in my desk drawer at work.
See, that's not going to
Not
help you.
fan.
That is not going to
No,
help
it's not helping me. This little
Yeah.
piece of paper is helping me, but
you. Yes.
You're
I found
in
that
the
paper was just not effective.
playing with matches. That's what's happening, Victoria. That's what's happening.
I'd been
But
all right if I didn't try to turn that shirt around in 2 seconds, but
I feel like the train's already off the rails and into the woods. And
already.
Heather, good evening, everybody.
We're going to try to have a normal start. So
yeah, it's too late.
we always start. I always start talking first. But after that, I really would like for my co-host to welcome you. And Ruth, what would you like to say to our audience tonight?
Oh, just thank you for joining us. We'll keep it simple. We're glad you're here.
There you go. There you go. And Victoria, I hesitate. You have a beautiful smile, as always, but we're not totally sure what else.
I'm just gonna say welcome to Authors Up, which is a forum for authors by authors. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all. See?
If you don't put that shirt down.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm all right now. I'm good.
You're all right. You're all right.
You got that out of your system?
Yes, I'm good.
Let's get started like we usually do then, and that is with our week in review. I don't think I put down on our template who would start this
You
week.
surely did
You
not.
did not.
I didn't.
And we didn't even talk about it. We were talking about everything else the last 30 minutes.
I'm so sorry that I didn't do that. So Victoria, why don't you begin?
I'll be happy to go first.
Okay.
I am extremely grateful to God. We talked last week. Remember, I did my PSA about going to take your test, and
Yes.
now I can say that I had a mammogram that I went to take my yearly mammogram, and it was not clear. Long story short, I had a biopsy done, and I was a little scared, but I kept on believing, kept on praying, kept on talking to God about it, and I got the call on Friday that the results are benign. And so I am okay. And so I just thank
All
God
right.
for that. I really am. And if I'm not going to talk too long because I start crying because I'm just so grateful. And I just feel that um, it's another way that I can testify to the goodness of God. And I don't know why. I don't know why he chose that it didn't happen to me, because there are other people that it have happened to. There are people that I know right now who went the same time I had my biopsy done. Their results were not good, but mine was. And so I thank God. Thank God. So I'm just going to testify to his goodness, and I'm going to keep saying, go get your test done, because prevention really is a cure. And so I'm just happy tonight to be here. And that's it. Glad to
That's,
see you guys once again.
you say that's it, but that's a lot.
Yes,
That's
well,
a lot. And I praise him with you
yes.
for the good report, for the
Yes.
good report. So to God be all the glory. I think.
Thank you, babe.
How about you, Miss Ruth? What was happening in your world last week?
Oh, the countdown's on. That's all that's happening in my world.
Baby watch. We on baby watch for
That's it.
Eminem.
That's it. I feel like we went from like 50 days to now we down to 12.
No, we
So,
done gone from Samantha's
That
pregnant to the
that
baby's here.
by so fast.
oh, it has. It has. It just
For
shocked me.
us.
And I would just remember, honestly, though, I remember her telling us and me looking at the calendar going, thinking, oh, that'll be here in no time. And it was just like 1, 2, that's it. She's
Yeah.
here.
That's right. She
And,
sent y'all the little box with the t-shirt.
uh-huh. Yep. Yep. So she finished work last Friday, which was good because I told her I worked up until like 7 hours before you were born. So she was just like, I'm tired. I'm like,
I'm
I
done. Oh, bless her heart.
Yep. So the next thing is that she gets 3 months paid leave. And I'm like, I am
Wow.
grateful that
Where does she work?
Oh my God.
the US Army.
Oh,
Oh, I forgot that the child was in the military.
that's wonderful though, because 8 weeks or 6 weeks, that was it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
no, not even that. 8 weeks or 6 weeks unpaid. If you don't have the vacation time, and who of us did? So yeah, so she gets that, and I'm just like, you know what? I ain't even mad. I'm glad she
Yeah.
gets that.
Yeah. So she'll be able to spend a good time with the baby before she has to go back to work. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Woo!
So
That's exciting.
That's it. Yep. So hopefully next time we chat, there'll be a grandchild in their midst. So
And we want a big picture that supersedes our faces. We want to see the baby.
all right. But that's basically my week. That's it. If you ask me again next week, that's what I would say, baby watch. So
Good.
I'm
Good.
good.
I can't. Boy, that is so funny. I said, where did she work? Ruth went to the Army.
That's it. That's it. She's in the army now.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Serving in her country. Thank you for
That's
your
it.
thank you
That's
for your
it.
service.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah, so-
that's a lot.
What
Now,
about you, Andrea?
my week was a week to tie some things up,
Okay.
Okay.
and I worked diligently at doing that. Things like getting my taxes done, almost finished, not quite finished. Getting some writing done, some completed, some not quite yet.
Okay.
Trying to take care of my health a little bit. And all in all, it was a productive week. There was nothing left out or nothing that I didn't do. Had some ideas of getting some things done that didn't quite play out the way I wanted them to. But you know what? It was all good and it was all right. And I didn't have any moments of, no stress, no anxiety. There's sometimes you just got to understand and believe that this is the way that it worked out. And if it was meant to work another way, it would have.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just keep it rolling and keep it moving and keep doing what we got to do.
Oh, good.
So that was it.
That's
And
all
one of
right.
the things that changed last week is we had a guest lined up for tonight, and I can't wait to have him come on at some point. His name is Larry Mindelberg,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
Larry was moving, and Larry is in Paris, and I know that
Bordeaux. He's in Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he's in Viva la France, though, right?
Yeah, but you know what? Just like you know what, we're all human, and apparently they have trouble with their cable as well over there. So he was
No,
unable to
Okay.
make it because he didn't have internet. And I'm like, I get it. No worries.
sometimes we don't either, and we're all right in North Carolina.
Right, right,
Yep.
right.
But he will be back with us when things
Mm-hmm.
get straightened out for him. But it gave us an opportunity to come together and have a little fun and have some questions in the conversation about telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We always talk about everybody has a story, just depends
Yes.
on whether or not they want to tell it. And we're going to kind of look at some things because all of us are writers in our own right, from poetry to blogging to fiction to serialization. Uh,
Mhm.
Ways to, you name it. We can put some words on paper, and I always like to say that it's something about pen and paper
Right.
that is always good for the soul of a writer, I think,
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to talk about telling that story tonight because all of us have written a book of some kind. Mine have been collections of poetry, and Ruth over there has written some of the best fiction novels I think that are out there, and Victoria has taken excerpts from her blog and has put that into a book of encouragement. And I tell you, we're just gonna chat. We're gonna chat a little bit. Before we even got on the air, there was a statistic. I guess I can put it that way, Ruth. That Ruth was telling us about that has to do with writing. Period, because there's so many different ways to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
We actually were kind of focusing on three tonight, and that was a book, to put it,
Mhm.
a book, the story of a book. The other is in stage, to write a stage play, sometime based on the book, sometimes not. Sometimes it starts out that way. I'm going to write a play, and other
Mm-hmm.
times it's an adaptation or it is coming from a book that's already been written. And then
Mhm.
there are screenwriters and
Mm-hmm.
screenplays that come from either a book or a stage play. And we're just, going to talk about those things a little bit tonight and what the difference is and what we like about it. And maybe some of the challenges that we've had in these different areas, if we have tried them at all. We're not doing this as a how-to. We're not doing it as a tips and tools, things you need to do, how to become the best screenwriter in the world or the number one best-selling author in the world. We just
You
talk
know.
about what we do and how we do it.
I'm not equipped for that.
What we like about it and what we don't, and what we hope we bring to you in the process of all of it. So let's see. I think, Ruth, how many books have you written? You
9. I've written 9. I've written 9. Okay. I've written 11. I've
Oh,
published
okay.
9, and then one was a serial.
Right.
okay? All
Right,
right.
right, right.
12.
And Victoria, you're 2, 3, 2.
I'm at 2 with I wrote the first one that was which was like you said the best of my blogs, and then I wrote the journal to accompany the book, and now I'm working on my first fictional novel, which is
Right,
taking me forever.
right, right. And you did a collaboration, you and I both did, on Joy 365.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You can't forget that. We did
Yes,
that.
I forget about that. I
Yeah.
forgot. Forgotten all about it, but I did it.
And for me, I think I want to say 7.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think I'm at 7. So, and I'm not sure whether or not that carries Joy 365 or not. And not quite sure of where I'm going to go from here. I have 2 things in the works.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. I'm praying one will come out this year and the other will come out next year. I want to
Mhm.
try and release something every year if I can. That's just
Oh,
my
good. Awesome.
so that's what I want to try and do. So books. We love them. We love to write them. We
Love to
need
read them.
we need to do better jobs at marketing them.
Definitely so.
And
Definitely.
I think that's going to be a tips and tools show for real. Ruth has given us some great tips in the past about marketing your work and getting it in final form to do that. And some of that we need to review and go back over.
Right.
And when I thought about storytelling, and I mentioned it to the ladies, one day, hopefully not in the not too distant future, we're going to do a show about storytelling. About
Mhm.
storytelling. And it
Mhm.
was interesting to me because when I was looking at the book, the play, the screenwriting, they were all talking about storytelling.
Mm.
But whenever I thought about storytelling, I always thought about the library and the lady in the center of the circle with the book that read to the children. Now
Right.
this is the giraffe, that, and he had 3 friends.
Uh-huh.
Right.
That's what I think of when I think about storytelling. But let's just jump right in and talk about these things that we have written a little bit. What was your first challenge with it? And Ruth, I think you're probably the more experienced of the 3 of us in terms of writing fictional novels. And
Right.
I want to say something to you before you even start about your books and your stories. And
Okay.
I told you this when you first allowed me to be a beta reader. I can always see your stories.
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
can always see them. I don't care where they're set. I don't care how many characters there are in them. I think that your books will lend themselves to movies.
Mhm.
I do too.
Because
I was gonna say that. Yes.
you have that way. You have that way of writing, and I love that about your work. I can't wait to get my hands on whatever you're writing because I see that,
Yeah.
and that is such a joy to me to do. So hopefully, I know you won, or something happened. One of your books was selected.
Yes.
So if you can talk about that a little bit, and I believe that there is, if it doesn't pull a screenwriter out of one of us, I
You
pray
know.
somebody will be inspired because it is an excellent story. I think you've written it well enough for it to be picked up and written
Mhm.
um, as that to have that screenplay so that it can be picked up and sold and we can all make millions. Okay. I'm done now.
Wouldn't that be fabulous though? I mean, as an author, to
Happen. I mean,
see,
we were talking earlier about it, things that can happen.
yeah, see your work on the big screen, like people actually going to a theater to see something you wrote.
Mhm.
Oh my God. And your characters come to life. That would be amazing.
Mhm. Yes, it would. Yes, it
Yes.
would.
Yes. So that book you're talking about, Speak Tenderly to Her.
Oh, that's
It
that
was,
book right there.
yeah, yeah.
That's, that's that book.
But yeah, so it started off as just an idea. I developed it, published the book. I did enter it into a contest, and the prize was for it to be placed in front of um, directors. It's some people
Oh,
who have the power to get the book made,
okay.
producers.
Okay.
So, of all the copies that were sent, I was a lady reached out to me, and I don't remember what she did exactly, but she scheduled time with me and she optioned my book, which basically takes it off the market for a determined amount of time so that they can determine if they can create a movie from it. Now, ultimately, the option came back to me because at the time, and this was pre-pandemic, they were
Okay.
unable to get a screenwriter to it to
Oh.
adapt the book, which kind of put me in the mode of, well, I can do that. So, but
Oh.
I think that is a good example. It's a good segue because you can have an idea and you can develop it into a screenplay, or you can have an idea, write the book, and then develop it into a screenplay, or you can partner with someone to develop it into a screenplay. And the
Wow.
thing is, a lot of books, more often than not, books, and you wrote it down here on the template for today, is just that books allow you to get into characters' inner thoughts,
Mhm.
Okay.
and that is why usually there's so much. I will die on this hill. Books are better than the movies,
Okay. Okay.
Always.
Yeah,
always,
because the book
always.
allows more detail.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're able to get into the character, but there again, like you said, Victoria, there is something about seeing your work on the big screen. You know, um, I read the book recently, Bullet Train. If you haven't seen the movie's good. The book was infinitely better.
Bullet Train. What was
Bullet
that?
Train with Brad Pitt. All the assassins are on a train
Oh yeah, yeah,
headed.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And they're
yes.
going
So
back and forth. Sort of, it
yes,
did sort of like a comedy,
yeah, yeah.
but it
It
was
had
a
comedic too.
series. It
Yes,
was serious,
yes.
but it was sort of
No, no, no.
comedic.
It was a thriller that had
Yeah.
comedic undertone to it.
Yes. Okay.
The book was 1,000% better, and there was a whole lot of controversy about the movie because of the casting, because it
Yes.
was a Japanese author. All his characters were Japanese if it's set in Tokyo, but obviously
That's not what happened in the movie.
that is not what happened in the movie. But his response was what I loved. It that my book is on screen.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
can't be mad at that. You
Right.
cannot. So it is just, there's just something about that. And the thing is, if you've heard it always, if there's a book that you want to read and it's not out there, write it yourself.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. The rules of writing a book and a screenplay are very different,
Okay.
but there are so many resources online for free that can teach you what those rules are and show you how to do it. And if you do it right, there's no telling where your work can go.
Now let me
Ruth,
ask you
what
a
would
question.
stop you from writing this screenplay?
What would stop me?
Mhm.
Right now, only time.
What did stop
Time.
you?
She
Just
Just
said
time.
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 Just time.
Time. I believe
Just
she
time.
could do it. But
Oh
now
yeah.
both of you have taken your book and the train you did it, the authors, authors we did it here. And then Ruth, we did was Grace. What was the book?
Full of grace.
Full of
Full
Full of
Grace.
grace.
So both
Hmm.
of you have taken your books and adapted it for, what would you call it? It's not a stage play. It wasn't a stage
Um,
play. But
dramatic
okay,
reading.
Yeah.
okay. But my question is, how difficult was that to take your book that you already, you had your story, you knew what the story was, so you definitely knew the beginning from the end. How difficult was that to then turn it into reading parts? Anybody goes first? Go ahead.
That was my first adaptation. So for me,
Okay.
it was a little bit, I'm still in the mindset of, the book provides all the materials.
Yes.
And I will tell you, from the time I was a child, it always bugged me. So I grew up in a very religious household, and my grandmother would not allow us to watch anything that was not Christian based.
Okay.
So we grew up watching, you know, uh, Christian films,
Yes.
biblical films, and it always bothered me, even as a 6, 7 year old child, that hey, here's the Bible. Why are you putting stuff in there that in the movie
It's
that
not
isn't
in
in the
there.
book? So
Right.
to me, I've always had issues with adaptations. I'm learning the rules of them, and that has helped. So it was a little difficult for me simply because that was my first foray into that. And
Yeah.
it was just, oh, well, we need to keep this. But, let me just transfer everything from the book, clear out the detail, and see if I can create a screenplay. And that's different.
Yeah, it is different. Yeah. Go back a little bit and explain adaptation, because we talked about that off camera. But talk about adaptation. You had some really good examples of movies that were adapted from a book and what that actually means.
Mhm.
So an adaptation is just and to me it's interesting because oftentimes think about an interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
You have someone who's speaking another language. You have someone there who's telling you what they're saying. But the thing is, they're not translating. They're telling you what they perceive that other person is saying. So basically,
Right.
it's not literal translation. It is. Let me sum it up. Basically.
Yes.
So, and an adaptation is the same thing. They're taking the bones of the story and they're taking it from one medium to the other. So we're going from the book where you have to sit down, you have to take time to read it, to a film that may take 2 to 3 hours to watch.
Right.
So, and then they have to be able to convey the emotion of it, convey the story into that other medium. The example I gave was Jojo Rabbit. If you guys have not seen it or read the book, I would highly recommend
Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit. It was directed by Takai Waititi.
Okay.
And the interesting part is his mother had read the book. She loved the book. He looked at it and went, I can do this, but I'm going to make one big change. And that is the protagonist in the book. And it's not an easy read, which is why I recommend the movie. It is basically, it's set in World War II. One of Hitler's youth finds out that his mother is hiding a Jewish woman in the house.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole lot of drama. And at the end, he tells her that the Germans won the war and he has to continue hiding her. So in the book, he's about 18, 19. When Taika Waititi wrote it, he dropped the age to about 10 or 12. So it changed the tone of the film.
Yes.
It changed.
Yes, because as a child.
Yeah. So, it was just different. I saw the movie first and then went to read the book and I was surprised by it. But that is maybe the only book that I will say the film was better.
Movie was better.
Yeah.
But again, you're reading two different things. But that is what an adaptation is. Think about 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
A book that was written 150 years ago. And
Yes.
I love the story for this because the director, Steve McQueen, was looking to tell that story. And he thought he was going to have to write something up when his wife found the actual book, which had been out of print at a yard sale. She brought it home and he adapted that rather than to create his own story. So in both of those movies, Jojo Rabbit and 12 Years a Slave won Academies for it.
You're right.
So that is an adaptation. You have original screenplays. Think about Good Will Hunting. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
And now that you say that, when I look at movies, I see, certain movies say adapted from blah, 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 and then original screenplay by. Though that's the difference. Okay.
Yeah, that is a difference. And again, there's no, because the other example I gave you was Brewster's Millions with Richard Pryor. Yes. That one had actually been adapted, I believe, 7 times. 2 of them were for stage.
Oh.
The book was originally written in 1902.
Okay.
So it just, it's like inflation. You just got to keep up with it, because originally he was set to inherit 1 million, but if he could spend it all,
That's right.
he could inherit 7 million. Whereas with Richard Pryor, he had to spend 30 million so he could inherit 300 million. So,
Okay.
but the premise is the same.
Yes.
So that's what an adaptation is.
Okay.
Basically,
The
you're
names
taking
are changed to protect the innocent, right?
yes.
Well, what about you, Elder? The original question, 2 questions ago, was how difficult it was to take your book and change it into the dramatic reading.
Very.
Now, what was it difficult for you? Because you have worked with the stage before,
Yeah.
Right? And you written things just for the stage?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And actually, it was Pathway to Purpose.
Right.
Pathway to Purpose was written as a Sunday morning sitcom.
Right.
So it started from it just started from the idea.
Really?
This was going to be a place with real situations with conclusions.
Yeah.
So the town had its own set of characters. There was a pastor and his wife. There were teenagers in the town. There was a beauty shop. There was a barber shop where a lot of things took place and what happened. The challenges were there for them. It's interesting too, because when I was looking at this, and they were saying that most of the time, successful screenplays and all, there's more than one issue that protagonist is facing. And I was simply and honestly going by what I was led to write, because I didn't have all of the instructions, and I hadn't looked them up and all that, and I had to produce something every month.
That's right.
And we came up with music for it, and it had a theme song, and it had anything and everything, at least I think, that a sitcom would have.
And and most of all, you had the buy-in, because every month everybody was looking forward to the play and to see what was going to happen next. I'm telling you. And I was in a couple of episodes and was still curious, like, what's going to happen next month.
And the interesting thing was, I couldn't convince anybody that there had been no discussion with Pastor prior to the script.
Oh, wow.
Because so often he would come behind the performance, and whatever it was that we were presenting was part of what he was teaching or preaching.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But that was an all God thing. And Ruth, I think we did that at about four seasons. It seems like at least 4 years.
I don't remember. I do remember at least 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it was more than that.
Now let me ask you something I just thought of real quick. Why haven't you turned Pathway to Purpose into a book?
Just never thought about it. I never thought about
doing it as a book.
Well, honey. My goodness. What a book that would be.
It'd be a lot to write about. Yeah.
But don't you have it still? Don't you have it written?
I have it, but I don't know about the whole getting into the intellectual property of, is it mine or is it theirs? And I think that has come up before.
The other part of that is that, again, we're talking about rules to writing. You know, when you're going from a stage play to a book, now you have to build that world.
Right.
You know, when I was doing it, that's going to take a lot more, because those those stage plays may have been 2,000-3,000 words tops.
Right.
Now you're writing a book that's maybe 50,000-60,000 words for that first episode.
Wow.
So that's the thing you have to consider. Like when I was writing the fan fiction last year, what
Yes.
that taught me was, again, different rules. I could not take that story that I wrote and create an original story
Right. Because
without having, no, I could change the names, but I would have to create the world that was already established there. So
right.
we're talking an additional 100,000 words.
Got you.
So there are different rules there, and it's just it just depends on how vested you are in that. Because I was actually going to write a sequel to the fan fiction.
Yes.
And then decided that I was going to do original story, which I have been developing for the last 7 months, and I'm not done developing it yet. So it's how much time and investment you're willing to put into that.
But Elder, didn't you write it? Didn't you write it? That was your brainchild. So
yeah, it was yours.
You wrote every line of that. How could that be someone else's property?
But because I was writing it for them.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't writing it for me.
Yeah, if she had no contract, then it could be a little sticky.
Yeah, and that would not be something that I would want to pursue.
Right.
And I say that because when you're talking about adaptations and things like that,
can we stop and talk about her face first?
No. Let it stay like it is. It can stay like it is. And I say that because I don't believe I'm done.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe I'm finished. And I believe that if it is meant for me to write that kind of story and tell that kind of story, then, I may set it in Paris, I may set it in Louisiana, I may put it in a number of places.
The Pathway to Purpose had it going on. It had everything.
It had a lot. But I look at it too, I hadn't thought about what Ruth was saying. In order to do those episodes, it was probably 10 to 13 pages of dialogue.
Okay.
In order to produce 15 minutes on stage.
I get it.
So, it's a lot more than let's just kind of lift this up and put it over there. And I always think that if there is a book that can be redone 7 times and have 7 different adaptations of it, there could be another adaptation. It doesn't have to be called Pathway to Purpose. It could be called something.
I give you permission.
There are a lot of options.
I give you permission to write a whole book about Veritella. How about that?
About what?
Veritella, which was my character.
Oh God. Well, she was your character. How about you read it?
There you go. There's a thought.
Well, Veritella wasn't my brainchild, though.
But look. It is no different than those actors, those method actors who go, what is my purpose? Why do I feel this way as the character?
Yes.
You talk about like Heath Ledger and what is the latest one? Where they would stay in character the whole time that they're shooting because that's their method. They owned the character.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the producer did or what the writer did.
My children do that. When they act, they become the character. I see a whole transformation.
That's how I was taught. That's how I was taught. I took acting at Arena Stage in Washington, where a lot of good actors came out of Arena Stage. But one of the things that I learned from them and that I would teach is tell me about that character. Build the life. Were they married? Were they single? What kind of struggles did they have? What kind of
create that backstory
did they have? Create that backstory, because if you ever drop a line or if you ever are on stage and forget where you are or whatever, you can improv in context.
Because you know the backstory.
Because you know how that person would
react. Okay. I love it.
And it's the same thing as in a book. If you have that backstory, you're going to be able to pick up the plot holes because you know that person would not act, that character would not act a certain way, or would respond a certain way based on their, whatever their backstory is.
Yes.
So
yes. Okay.
And to keep it on track, you've watched movies and things where a character does a certain thing or is portrayed a certain way in the beginning, and later on you look at that character and go, well, wait a minute, that makes sense. That didn't.
Yeah.
In the beginning, they were in a wheelchair. Why is he running a marathon now?
That don't make sense. That makes no sense.
So those are, there are a lot of things to watch out for. There are a lot of things that you don't want to do again. If I were to do the train again, I would definitely do it differently.
Okay.
Than I did it this time.
Really?
There are things that I wanted to show about the characters that I don't think came through as well as they could have.
Okay.
But there's also the issue of time, like I was saying, 13 pages for 15 minutes on screen.
Right.
Versus trying to take this book and turn it into 4 45-minute segments. Some of the book would not lend itself to that, because when you're doing a dramatic read, there are details, there are things that are left out, there are things you don't get to see that you would see if it was
in a book. Or a screenplay.
It's detailed in a book. How much narration do you want to have, in order to be able to have people see what you see? And that's what I had put down in our notes. Do you see what I see? As a writer, I want you as my audience, I want you to see what I see. I want you to hear what I hear. To relive it the way, that I'm reliving it. And I'm not sure that it's a nice idea, but I think that story and that storyline was something very specific.
Okay.
And for a very specific reason.
Time. At the time of the church. I get it. Okay.
See that coming again. But I enjoyed writing from that perspective, not taking it from another story, but each segment being fresh.
Yes, it was
new.
Yes.
And different at the same time, because we didn't want the same feel.
And it was definitely that. It was always a surprise. It was always that cliffhanger at the end. It was just wonderful. It was really good. It kept me engaged, my children engaged, the audience engaged. And I remember being on the stage and looking out, and everybody was it was like you could hear a pin drop because they was so invested in hearing. And it was just wonderful, wonderful writing. Not because I love you so much, and I do, but it was really good. It was good.
God did a lot of that right, and I tell you that. I give it all to him, I tell you. Because I wasn't expecting to do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm biting off more than I can chew here. I wanted to do something Easter, Christmas, and and New Year's. I wasn't looking to do something every month,
but
when I got home, God wrote it out. And I know that sounds strange, but I sat down and he said, you're going to do a Sunday morning sitcom. It's going to be called Pathway to Purpose. These are going to be the characters. And I was able to go back, to Pastor and say, okay, I got it. I know exactly what you want to do. Wow. My writing on my own, I really want to get back to finishing the NaNoWriMo, because that is that is my test of writing a story, because most of my books are poetic collections.
Right,
Mhm.
right, right.
And I really want to dig deeper into finishing. I want to get that
Yeah.
story
And
finished.
it is a good story. It is a good.
I
I
think
can't wait to see it finished too.
I think so. I think it's got some merit.
It does.
Publisher said it did, so I'll go with my publisher on that. Let me see.
Wow.
We actually have covered a lot of ground tonight. I
Mhm.
think we're kind of right on time
Yeah.
with our program for tonight. Um, I want to, in wrapping up, uh, just encourage those who write. You know, this is a forum for authors by authors. I want to encourage those who write, because we have gone the gamut in terms of age. We have had writers, I think the Matswaki, you know who I'm talking about,
Matswaka.
Miss Walker.
Matswaka children at the time were what, maybe 12 or 13,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
very young. And then our author and professional writer from last week, who's what, 22, 23. And
Mhm.
we have gone past the 70 mark.
Clearly.
Yeah, so I think that my word of encouragement is start.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's something, if you've got an idea in your head, there are so many different ways to tell that story.
Mhm.
You can tell it in a book, you can tell it as a screenplay, you can tell it as a play, you can tell it in so many
Mhm.
ways. So don't discourage yourself. Don't self-sabotage and cut yourself off before you even get started good. Go ahead, put it down on paper, write whatever's in your heart to write, and then you'll get help along the way. You will definitely get help. You get a good publisher, child, stuff can happen.
Woo!
Publisher, good editor. You know, there are things to help you finish. There are
Yeah.
things to help you finish, but nobody can start but you.
Right.
That's
right.
my word of encouragement. Ruth, you got a word of encouragement for our listeners and viewers tonight?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, don't limit yourself and figure out what you like. Because the truth is, Andrea, you're a poet. That does not appeal to me. But I love writing books. I love writing. I like the idea of writing screenplays. So be you and just flow in that. There's nowhere that says you have to write it a certain way or in a certain medium. Just
Yes.
you like movies, write a movie.
And
You like books?
remember the other thing with that, Ruth, that I wanted to mention, it doesn't have to just be you.
No.
We
True.
talk, there's solo writing, and then there is that writing in the room where you have more than one writer, particularly with sitcoms and TV things like that. There's
Mhm.
more
True.
than one
True.
writer in the room. So keep that in mind and
Mhm.
follow what Ruth said about that. What
Yeah,
about you?
and even our short story, Mama's House, and
Exactly.
we wrote that together, and that was quite an accomplishment, I thought. It's something I hadn't done before, and that's one of the things I like about this show, is that we are doing things that I've never done before, and I've never seen anybody do it, in the ways that we do it. So it's
Mhm.
just I just love it. And I was thinking before we came on, I said, you know what? It's a different kind of excitement because from the first show to this show, it is always an exciting feeling I get about being on Authors Up. It's just amazing, and you guys you're just amazing at what you do, and I love you. I just love you.
We
That's right.
That's what it's amazing what we do. You're right.
That's
do.
right.
We do. And you can find us on social media, and you can find us Yes, and we're
We
here
have a podcast I listen to.
and at Authors Up Show. And I know that was a mess, Ruth.
You know what? And also, if you would like to be on our show, if you would like to comment on our show, if you'd like to suggest a book or somebody who can be on our show, send us an email at authorsup@gmail.com.
Go ahead. Go
Right.
ahead.
Look at you guys.
You want to fix it?
job.
You want to fix the stuff I messed up?
You want to pull all that together now, Ruth?
You got it. You good. You good. No. So we are on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You just got to look for Authors Up Show. Like you said, that is correct. We have a replay on Facebook at Saturday nights at 7 p.m. But we are also available on YouTube or on a podcast. You can take us with you. And we do have an email. So authorsup@gmail.com.
That's it. That's it.
I still like the way you do it better.
Right? And website loading.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for us for tonight. I thank everybody who joined, who tuned in, who's listening, who's viewing. I hope you got something out of the show tonight, and we certainly do appreciate you being with us. We will be back next week. We have we have an author next week. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Come on back and join us. It's the week after that we have something different for you. So I thank you again for being with us. Thank you, ladies. It's always a joy when the three of us get together. I enjoy everything that you say and that you do, and the way that we are able to encourage and speak to the author within. There's an author within all of those who tune in and join us. So that's it for us for tonight. And again, thank you for being with us. Come on back next week, because you never, ever know.
Never know.
Yeah, never ever know what's going to happen. Shirts, one side, back side. Just come back. Be with us and join us. You never know what's going to happen when you tune in to Authors Up.
Authors Up. Night, Bronze Girl.
Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful
Good night.